Morning, everyone. It is the 9th of April, 2024. Pretty day here in Maryland, finally. Supposed to be in the 70s today. I'm digging that a lot. So much more enjoyable to work on this car outside when the weather's nice. Um, this morning I took her for a spin just to give her a little exercise. So it was fun just getting in the car and cranking it up and driving around the block a few times. Ran an errand, returned something I didn't need at Napa Auto Parts. So that was fun. No water leaks still. I always check under the hood, every time I drive it, see if anything is amiss. One thing that has bothered me a lot, and it's a shame really, the gas tank. It appears that that vent tube that I struggled with when I had the tank out, and I tried to make sure it was free, that it was unplugged. Apparently I was not successful at that, because every time I've taken the gas cap off, there's an immense amount of pressure. It almost blows the cap out of my hand. There's so much pressure in that tank when I open the tank up with the gas cap, and I know that's not right. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the vent tube, to vent the pressure out so that doesn't happen. So I have to conclude that somehow, in spite of my best efforts, that tube is still plugged up, and I'm not dropping that gas tank again just to mess with that some more. The only thing I can think of to do, and I did some research online and discovered in the old days, some cars, Chryslers in particular, that I saw actually had a small hole drilled right through the gas cap that served as that vent. It was kind of a two-way vent. This is a vented gas cap, but I discovered that it's only vented one way. It's a one-way valve that's inside here, and that allows air to come through from the outside, because that's necessary in order for the fuel pump to suck fuel out of the tank. It's got to have air flowing in behind it to keep the flow going. Otherwise, it would just create a vacuum and it would stop being able to pull fuel out of the tank. So I learned that today. I didn't know that. So I'm thinking, as an emergency measure for the time being, literally just to drill a hole right through this gas cap. Not a big hole, but about the same size as the vent tube that's on the gas tank that apparently is plugged up, just to get by for now. I mean, that's not optimal. This thing supposedly has a filter in it, so it doesn't bring any contaminants in. And if I drill a hole right through the cap in order to vent the tank, then there's a small possibility that some dirt could get in that way. I mean, I don't think that's very likely, but it is. There's a small possibility. But I got to do something, so I'm probably going to go ahead and just do that. Just drill a hole right through this cap to provide an escape for the fumes in the tank, because I don't want to see what might happen if I keep trying to drive it like this. I don't want an explosion or my tank destroyed because of all the pressure it's building up in there. So I'll work on that. That won't take long. Another thing I want to try to do today is to rebuild this 3-port fuel pump that I bought from Brian, the same person I bought the engine and transmission from. He also gave me the heat shield that goes with it, so I'm looking forward to doing that. I've showed the rebuild kit already. Got that from Mark II Enterprises. A little bit pricey, but many things are for this old car. So I've never taken one of these apart before. I'm hoping that it's a rather simple process, and to clean it up and put my new parts in it. I hope that's going to be the case. We'll find out how that goes. Something else I wanted to share, and you may be wondering why I've got my old power antenna in my hand. Yesterday, when I took the car for a drive, I thought, let's raise that nice antenna that I just bought. So, it goes up all the way, fast and smooth. It's straight. The mast is beautiful. Go to turn on my radio, and I get nothing. Nothing at all. It's as if the antenna is not even plugged in. I know it's plugged in because I plugged it in when I installed it in the car. It never dawned on me to check it before, I put the splash shield back on and put the wheel back on and all that. I just assumed it would work. So, apparently not. I did notice on the antenna, replacement antenna, that the mast, this outer shell was kind of twisted. I'd never seen that before, so maybe somewhere in the past with that antenna, somebody had done something to it that damaged it and possibly disconnected the wire from the lead here onto the mast. I don't know. I'm going to have to take it back out and take a closer look at it to see what's up. But I just had to laugh. I mean, what are you going to do? There's no point in getting mad about it or upset. It's not like the radio is a critical component, especially at this stage of the process. Just wanted to share that. So, another lesson learned. What else do I have here? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna adjust the choke on the carburetor a little bit. I don't think it's set rich enough, because that as soon as you start the car, the thing opens fully almost immediately. So it doesn't really give the car a chance to warm up at all before the choke is fully open. So I'm gonna adjust that richer a little bit, a couple of notches, and see how that works. Um, and I'm also thinking about hooking up the vacuum lines now to the inside of the car. Now that I've got the engine running, reliably and all that, it shouldn't take too much. I will replace under the hood the vacuum lines that I can get to, that are obviously hard and brittle, and see how we do with that. And lastly, the master bypass switch, the window switch that I was supposed to get from Felix LaFleur yesterday, is lost somewhere in the Postal Service system. This isn't the first time that I've had parts just become very late because they got misrouted in the Postal Service system. Well, to be fair, it's happened with UPS recently as well too, but a little frustrating, but again, not critical. The switch will show up eventually. So we'll see how the day goes from there. All right, I just finished drilling a hole right straight through this gas cap from the inside out. Tested it, just blowing on it. It definitely lets air go both ways now, so it can still pull air in, and it will allow air to go out now. So I'm going to just use it like that, and hope that does the trick until someday in the future, probably years down the road, I can do something better with the gas tank again. First thing I did was remove the old fuel filter. That was a project. I had to mount that in a bench vise and use some vice grips there to squeeze in there to get to the nut, and then the wrench to get it off the rest of the way. What I discovered is inside the bore, as you can probably see, the outer portion of it, there are no threads. They've been worn off or something. I don't think that's normal. I think it's supposed to be threaded all the way out. However, I think there's enough thread left at the bottom of the bore that the fuel filter that I have should still be able to reach it and lock into place. Otherwise, I'm going to be forced to finish drilling that out the rest of the way and then tap it with new threads and put an adapter fitting on there for the fuel filter to screw into. I'm going to proceed as if I don't have to do that, although I think I better do a test fit of my fuel filter to make sure I can actually snug it up before I proceed. But that's step one. So these small studs here on top are 5/16 size. As I started to take one off, I thought, well, I should point out why those studs are there. They match up with the holes on the fuel, on the heat shield here. This heat shield doesn't really work too well on the other style pump that people use on these cars, but of course it fits perfectly here because that's what it's designed for. So I just need to find myself a set of nuts. I don't know if they're in my kit or not. That'll hold that down later. But right now I'm just taking these studs out and these three screws right there, and it should come apart. Alright, so now I'm learning that maybe this is why these should be professionally done. The last two studs, they both snapped off, so I'll have to drill those out to clear the holes, get them out of there. I'll be able to separate it still with those stuck in there, but I'll have to find replacements. I don't know. I see something in here. I don't know if that's what they're for or not, but I'll have to look in the kit. I have a feeling they don't have these new little studs in there, but anyway, it's old. What do you expect? All right, so as it turns out, the only one that didn't break was the very first one I tried to take out. Every one of the other ones just snapped right off. This one was so hard to get to, I actually had to drill the head off of it. So now the next step is going to be to carefully and drill out the remnants that are in the hole still and not damage the threads. If I do damage the threads, then I can either put bigger screws in them or just put small little nuts and bolts to hold it together. And it also occurred to me, I pulled this old fuel pump that was on my old engine out. Those screws that are in here are probably the same size. I don't know. I'll test that later. And then I got to see about... Alright, I had to abort my very first attempt at drilling a hole because it was going off center and I don't want to screw up the hole. It occurred to me that I probably can separate these and then I'll be able to just grab the studs that are left. Hopefully. I don't know if this is going to work or not because of the threads. But I learned that the top half hole is bigger than the bottom half hole coming from underneath. So I couldn't use the drill bit I was planning on using to go through because it stops on the bottom half of the pump. So it's a different size hole. So I'm just trying not to damage this thing so I can reuse it. Just having a little difficulty here. I'm going to attempt to pry the halves apart. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll give it a shot. All right, you're looking at a drill press that I found in an abandoned house a few months back. Didn't even know if it worked, so today I plugged it in, and it does run. It's a Sears Craftsman drill press. I think it's exactly what I need because I can't hold this thing by hand in order to drill out those all those messed up screws. So my intention is to drill from the bottom very carefully because it'll be easier, I think, to make it level. Or I might drill from the top, I don't know. But the point is, I've got to somehow make it straight up and down and then lock it in place with C-clamps or something to hold it, keep it from moving. And then carefully drill out each hole one at a time. Seems very time consuming. Now I really have an appreciation for what the guys that actually rebuild these professionally, what they have to go through. I don't even know if they would consider this a rebuildable pump or not, but it's what I got, so I'm going to keep on trying. And of course I don't have the proper size chuck to test this out to see if I can even mount a drill bit in it. So I have to go to the hardware store and get a bigger drill chuck before I can do anything else. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, here's where I'm at with this fuel pump now. I'm to the point where I realize I should have taken this thing to a machine shop. Once I had the heads all broken off or turned off or whatever, drilled off, I should have taken it to a machine shop where they could have drilled out the holes without damaging the housing. It's to a point now where I'm not even sure this thing is going to be usable by the time I'm done with it. What I just did is I just bought a new set of drill bits because I don't really have any decent ones. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I'm at least going to get it to the point where I can disassemble it because I've never been inside one of these before. And this is probably why. Because when they're this old, they're really hard to get open anyway with all the corrosion and rust age. So I don't think I'm going to be able to use threaded screws if I do decide to attempt to assemble this with the kit I have and everything. I'm just going to use a series of nuts and bolts all the way around to hold it together. I think that'll do for a test anyway. If it leaks, especially where I've kind of screwed up the hole, like this is the worst one, right? All right, I've officially ruined this core, so I'm not going to be able to use it. I'm not going to bother continuing to try to disassemble it. My drill bit went off kilter a bit there and sliced right through the outer edge of the housing, so there's no way I can trust that to seal and whatnot. So very unfortunate, because these cores are hard to come by. These 3-quart fuel pump cores, I feel bad. So if anybody knows where I can get another one, let me know. I might be willing to buy it from you so I can try again. Although if I do this again, I will definitely take it to a machine shop to remove those little screws if they break on me like this one did. So I'm going to move on to something else with the car. I think I'll attack that power antenna now. I'm still chuckling about that. I can't believe I didn't know that antenna wouldn't work with the radio. So now I'm on to my next project here. I've gotten the my replacement antenna taken out right here. I noticed when I was putting it in that this outer part is all twisted here. It's not supposed to be that way. I'm not sure how anybody could have twisted it like they did, but it's twisted. But I didn't think anything of it because the antenna mast itself goes up and down so nicely, just beautifully. Just never occurred to me that internally behind here it must not be connected. I plugged the old one back in just to check it, and sure enough, the radio did work with that one. So now I'm going to have to disconnect these holding bolts on the outside here and take a peek. Actually, I think I can start right here, just taking these two off and seeing if it's obviously disconnected. It could be a simple matter of just soldering it back in place. We'll see. And as soon as I took this little cover off, lo and behold, my suspicions are confirmed. So all I really have to do is just bare some wire there, get some solder, and get it stuck back on the antenna mast. However, since this is obviously twisted and it affected how I mounted it inside there, I'm going to since it's already broken and twisted or disconnected there, I'm just going to go ahead and remove it completely. I might be able to, no, I won't be able to. I was going to say I might be able to use that outer shell on this one, but then I'd have to do some soldering, which I'm already going to do anyway, so I ought to think about this. I'm going to take that outer cover off and see what it looks like. So it literally is just attached to this part of the antenna mast normally. So somehow it came disconnected here. So I think what I might do, since this one's kind of twisted up and gnarly and everything, I think what I'm going to do is solder this one loose and then just use this outer housing here and get a better product overall. So I'm going to start working on that, get my soldering gun set up. All right, I've started reassembling. I did my soldering work, and now I have a piece of wire here with a connector on it now. I did that because it's much easier to pull the stuff apart if I ever need to again in the future. So I'm just going to connect those together, stuff it all in the hole there, and lock that back down. Put it all back together, and then of course I will test it. And once it passes, then I will finish installing it, and I'll be done with that. All right, I've just mounted my repaired power antenna, so now we're going to raise it. Just love how that thing works. Beautiful. Yeah, pretty exciting, huh? Watching a power antenna go up. I'm extending it fully too to straighten it. There is an adjustment for making sure it's vertical, perfectly vertical. And now the big test. Are we going to get music or something out of the radio? Yep. About as good as it gets for an AM radio anyway. I don't even know if you can hear it. But trust me, it's working. Alright, so I'm going to adjust the antenna. It's pretty straight as it is, and then I will tighten it down and put the splash shield back on. The adjustment I'm talking about is right here at this bracket. It moves back and forth so you can see the antenna kind of moving around. So anyway, I'm going to do that real quick and put it back together. Alright, I've just finished adjusting the choke. I didn't realize it, but this little tiny index mark, let me point to it here, right there, the little index mark on the cover was way over here, way over here. So that, I don't know if that means it just wasn't set right at all, and that's why this thing falls off the fast idle so quickly and why it opens so quickly, I don't know, but so I just moved it to the center position there. That's normally where you would put it to start with anyway, and we'll see how she does the next time it's cold, and make sure that the choke doesn't stay on too long now that I've made that adjustment. It was a pretty significant adjustment. The other thing I'm going to do is slow down the fast idle screw, because when it is on the fast idle cam, it idles a bit too fast. So I'm going to adjust that real quick. Then I'll be done. And I'm still toying with the idea of hooking up some vacuum accessories. I haven't decided if I'm really going to do that right now or not, but I'd kind of like to. We'll see. All right, guys, just for the fun of it, one last test drive today. I did adjust the choke some, so I don't know if it's going to make it run any different. It probably won't, but Deacon, I think his name is, one of my viewers, keeps reminding me that I forget. All right, had to go say hi to the neighbors. They were sitting on the front porch, so they want to ride. I told them next week after I get new tires and front end alignment. So here we go, just a quick little jaunt here. The more I drive it, the more I'm enjoying it. Even though I had some issues today with that fuel pump rebuild, oh well, that's okay. At least I can still drive it. All right, here comes the horn honk. There we go. I hope you guys heard that. Talk to you later. Bye.